right now. I guess we're having some technical difficulties, Jeff.
With the audio, bear with us, please. And Henry Ford in the white with the ball at the rollout, bootleg, and number 4, the quarterback for Detroit Henry Ford is Marquie Jemison, the 5'11", 152-pound senior, picks up a first down for Detroit Henry Ford. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, Detroit Henry Ford in the white with the ball. Here's the give to Merritt right up the middle. And he's met and stopped after a pickup of about 5 yards on the play by number 6, Jaman Woods. Linebacker, tight end, only a junior. Henry Ford, 5-0 in league play as Merritt grounds out some serious ground yardage on the ground. Grinds up some serious ground yardage. How you like that one? We'll have Quentin hooked up in just a few minutes.
Jackson, experiencia muy importante en el centro infantil donde la cuidan. Como todos los días pintaron, escucharon cuentos muy bonitos, jugaron, pero lo que aprendieron en esta ocasión y que jamás olvidarán fue la importancia de lavarse las manos antes de comer. Un cuidado de calidad puede tener una influencia positiva a lo largo de toda la vida. Llame para solicitar un folleto gratis y ayuda para encontrar cuidado infantil de calidad.
Ford in their first possession has been forced to punt the ball to Detroit Cooley, and Detroit Cooley will start possession at about the 20-yard line or so. Detroit Cooley 3-1 with the loss, their only loss coming to the hands of Detroit Redford. 6-0, 3-1 and 5-1, I'm sorry. Here's the give to the first back through. That's number 5 for Detroit Cooley. Harold McCullough on the carry. When you look at Detroit Cooley's offensive line, you look at a line that possesses size and great athletic ability. Randy Mills, number 66, 311 pounds. Derek Hardaway, 6'4", 262 pounds. And there's a look at the interim head coach, Sammy Sims, in white shirt. And we'll let you know why he's working under interim status in just a few minutes. Cooley quarterback, number 4, Milliner. Milliner, senior, 175 pounds. Quarterback and a safety. Milliner calling the signals for Detroit Cooley. Here's the give to Chris Floyd, and he's met at the line of scrimmage. Detroit Cooley looking for a playoff berth. Big points to the team who wins this game, so this game is probably the biggest game in the city. There is a look at the ladies of the Cooley band dressed in red. Timeout, Detroit Cooley. Sammy Sims doesn't like what he sees right now. With this timeout, we're going to take a timeout. We'll be right back after this.
Cuidado infantil de calidad.
It's big. It's bad. It's back. The NBA on TNT. The best schedule. The best analysts. No one rotated back. All-Star Weekend. More playoff games than anyone. Oh, he loves it. So when we say nobody plays the NBA like TNT, we mean
nobody.
The season begins November 5th.
Cooley, their first possession. We're in the first quarter, no score yet. And the give to Chris Floyd. He's met by number 5, Dennis Hubbard.
And the main thing that we must talk about, Jeff, is there are more than 4 guys out there for the Cooley team that weighs over 300 pounds. And the question is, are these young men agile and strong enough to do what it needs to take to, let me put it this, rephrase it, to do what they need to do in order to win, to meet Denby next week. They're facing a very tough Henry Ford team here today.
Here's the give to Chris Floyd. He spins, almost breaks the tackle, and gets into the secondary before he's brought down by number 6, Matthew Irving, on the tackle. But Chris Floyd displaying some of his All-American talents, probably one of the best backs in the PSL. Matter of fact, he is one of the best backs in the PSL, along with Merritt and Londell Bright. But Chris Floyd, what he brings to the dance is strength, speed, and the ability, as we just saw, to break tackles. What a fine move to pick up that first down for Detroit Cooley. Here's the give again. Floyd into the secondary. Londell Bright giving chase. Let's see, he does? No, Londell Bright brings him down on a shoestring tackle right about the 10-yard line.
Question that we must ask, Jeff. All year long, Henry Ford has been getting away with this undersized defensive unit. Now they're facing a team that the average weight on this offensive unit for this Cooley team is right around 300 pounds. Let's take a look at the replay and see what happened. First of all, as you can see, Cooley's team completely dominated the line of scrimmage. There was an opening, bam, there went the running back, picked up some substantial yardage. If it wasn't for Bright making the shoestring tackle right around the 10-yard line, it would have been 6-0 Cooley. Don't underestimate this Cooley team because this is a big team. And so far this year, Henry Ford has been playing a small unit.
Here's the give to Floyd off the left side. After that long run, a run of about 55 yards for Chris Floyd.
One thing about football, anything can happen, especially here in the PSL. The Cardinals, the Cooley team, they are the underdog team facing a powerhouse for years on the west side here. And that's this Henry Ford team. But one thing that Henry Ford cannot do is underestimate this Cooley team, because if they do, this game can get out of hand real fast.
Here's Chris Floyd testing the left side of the defensive line of Detroit Henry Ford.
And that time, the Henry Ford team withstood the challenge. And as a matter of fact, there was a loss probably of a half a yard on that play. And what needs to happen now? Let's take a look at the replay first of all, Jeff. Right now, what's going on is that this Henry Ford team completely beat Cooley's team to the punch. They had penetrated the gaps, stood up the back with the ball, stopped him right there. They're looking at again, what is this, third down, I believe it is. As you can see, the Cooley folks over on the other side with all the red on, all excited. Homecoming day today.
Homecoming day at Detroit Cooley High School, and that's a look at the Henry Ford huddle and one of the assistant coaches, the coach of the defensive unit, along with Coach Mike Marshall, who has done a fine job once again this year. Only lost this year coming to the hands of Detroit, or should I say not Detroit, but Redford Catholic Central in the very first game of the year. United we stand, divided we fall, that sign says, as I guess that's a mark for the Detroit Cooley contingent, who has a pretty good crowd on hand for this homecoming game and this very important game for both these teams. Loser might go home, but not go home without something, because what happens is the loser still has the opportunity to make it to the States. Our problem has been solved technically, and we're on track now as number 3 for Detroit Cooley trots it to the end zone, but whistles blow as Dion Grubbs, the 5'6", 172-pound sophomore running back, trots it to the end zone, but that was going to be marked off, so don't count that one because of the holding against Detroit Cooley.
You want to know something, Jeff, about this Cooley team? They're big enough to play smash mouth football once they get below the 10-yard line. I'm surprised they really aren't doing that. The offensive line showed really well the middle of the field all the way down on their half of the field from the 20 on up. They show really well. Now they get in some very tough real estate here. This is where this offensive unit must dominate. If they are going to win this game, the offensive line will definitely play a big role in this victory for Cooley.
Offensive line averaging about 260. Here's the pass into the end zone, and it's caught. No, it's
yes,
deflected.
it is. Deflected, caught by another receiver. No, I'm telling you, this is what you enjoy. This is what you love to see. I mean, this is fantastic. This was a great play.
Harold McCullough, the receiver, not the intended receiver, but after it was deflected and went up into the air, Harold McCullough was the recipient of the gift and the touchdown for Detroit Cooley.
Definitely. He was at the right place at the right time. Cooley had several receivers over in that corner. A deflection. Luckily, sometimes, what's that old saying, Jeff? Better lucky than good.
And Chris Floyd trots in for the extra 2 points. And Detroit Cooley gets on the board first. Detroit Henry Ford, defensively, with the long run in that series, hurt him. When you take a look at it, Richard Miller, number 4, the quarterback, did a good job in the play-action fake.
Absolutely. He faked that, puts it up in the end zone, He has several receivers down there. Look at this. Pop right off the chest, right off the Henry Ford defender's helmet, and right into the hands of a Cooley Cardinal.
So Harold McCullough, the recipient of that early Christmas present, as he scores the first touchdown. And there's your score. Detroit Cooley 8 and Detroit Henry Ford 0.
Henry Ford cannot underestimate this team. First of all, Henry Ford must give a lot of respect because defensively they are an undersized team playing against a humongous Cooley line. Now, if this Cooley team can continue to play today, this offensive line, it's going to be a long day for this Henry Ford team.
Number 21 is the receiver on the play for Detroit Henry Ford, and that's Terrence Timon. And not much gained on that kickoff.
Taking a look at the replay of the kickoff, bad footing, first of all, his bad body positioning, and as you can see, his feet was just slipping off from under him every which way he went. What he tries to do is reverse field and go the other way, but give credit to the Cooley team. They had a host of defenders down there, no yardage, and right now, not that great a field position for this Henry Ford team.
An official timeout right now. A problem with the chains, and one of the chains on the sideline had broke. Might have stepped on it. And, Mike Smith, one of the head officials, side judge, taking care of business over there.
Definitely.
First down for Detroit Henry Ford. And here is Jemison on the option. And he picks up about 3.5 or 4 yards on the play.
Give Cooley's defense all the credit in the world. Right now, this Henry Ford team is look as though they're trying to gap. They're trying to run the gap. Cooley is closing it down. What's going on is number 66, big fella in the middle for Cooley, and that young man, his name is...
That's Randy Mills.
Randy Mills.
Here's to give to Leon Bright, straight up the middle. I'm sorry, that's not Leon Bright. That is Merritt.
Leon Merritt for Henry Ford.
Let me get the names right as Merritt picks up a first down.
First of all, there's a lot of coverage from this Henry Ford team on the two big fellas. Take a look at that defensive line for this Cooley team. This is a big team that this Henry Ford team must contend with.
And the reason why we took a look at that special team highlight, the special teams are going to play a big factor in this ball game. And that time, Detroit Cooley did a fine job. And there's another problem with the chains. As the chains broke again, that one link did make the difference between a first down
yeah,
in any crucial situation. So we want to make sure we take care of that.
But I guess the main thing that we must talk about here is Henry Ford. Henry Ford cannot afford to have a middle letdown right about now because this would be bad for them. They're down 8-0. They're facing a team that's going to take a lot out of them both offensively and defensively because these are some big guys. The only thing that's going to hurt this Cooley team is what you're watching right now, penalties and mental mistakes. If they can eliminate those, we may be looking at an upset today here, folks. And it really wouldn't be an upset, Jeff, because let's give Henry Ford a lot of credit. They're playing with a small defensive line, and they have been superior this year.
Small offensive line, small defensive line, and you're right. So it doesn't matter how big you are inside, but your heart makes a big difference. Here's Leon Merritt once again picking up about 6 yards on the play. So Merritt is becoming the workhorse in the Henry Ford offense out of the wishbone, and watch the offensive line do a job on the big guys up front.
Definitely looked like they chopped him at the knees. Down they went. Leon goes around the soft side of the line. A host of Cooley Cardinals come up after a pickup of about 7-8 yards on that run. That's what the Cooley defensive line is. They must eliminate those chop blocks.
Londell Bright getting his call on this series, and he picks up about 3 yards after Leon Merritt had picked up a first down for Henry Ford. And Bright carries the ball, and he picks up about 4. They're having problems with those chains, and usually the young guys who are so into the game that they're not paying attention to what's happening with the change. Wishbone formation for Henry Ford to give to Merritt up the middle, and he powers his way to another first down.
Now, let's talk about who's winning the battle now. That small offensive line for Henry Ford is now dominating at the line of scrimmage. As big as the guys are for Cooley, they can do nothing with this offensive unit right now. They're chop blocking this Cooley team. They're doubling this Cooley team. And they're opening holes that Merritt is hitting and picking up substantial yardage. If they're going to turn this around, what's going to have to happen is the linebackers are going to have to take a step up to help this defensive line out, because Leon Merritt is definitely having a big day thus far.
Now, I thought that was the first down rushing for Leon Merritt, but they're going to take a look at it and see. And they measured, and it's the first down by a whole bunch, at least a couple of inches.
Yeah.
So that's another first down for Merritt, as the wishbone is giving Detroit Cooley some problems. Let me move Warren Moon out the way.
Thank you. Well, that time the Cooley team caught on as to what was going on, and they were there to stop that play for minimal gainage. But the problem still is that this offensive line for this Henry Ford team continues to dominate this Cooley team. Cooley is going to have to find a way to overcome this problem with this smaller team to stop the big yardage from being picked up by the backs for Henry Ford.
Pick up of 2 yards. Here it is. Student body right, and Londell Bright with the ball, and the good job by Detroit Cooley to string it out. And some flags on the play, maybe some unintentional roughness there.
Definitely.
At the end of the play, but you saw the student body firsthand with some good blocking up front, but Cooley did a good job in stringing it out. Let's see who's the call is on. There's Londell Bright, probably the most underrated running back in the public school league, but a super talented young man, and he's a senior. As the penalty will go against Detroit Cooley, and they walk off a big one for some unsportsmanlike conduct.
You can't, whenever you have somebody out of bounds like that, the whole team just can't jump on him. I mean, that's exactly what Cooley did. But we may laugh now, but these mistakes may come back later to haunt this team.
Wishbone to give to Merritt. Merritt grinds out probably 3 yards on the play.
Cooley must, I'm sorry, Jeff. Cooley must ask themselves, are we going to be consistently good at what we're doing defensively, or are we going to be consistently bad? Are we going to have the penalties? Are we going to have the mistakes? Are we going to do the dumb things necessary for us to lose this game? Are we going to smarten up and do the smart things for us to win this game? And right now they're up by 8 points. But the way things are looking, if you looked at both teams, you would think Henry Ford is leading this game.
Well, that's going to mark the end of the first quarter of play, folks. And we're at Detroit Cooley High School. It's homecoming, and all the Cardinals are in attendance this afternoon. But Detroit Henry Ford has a good drive going right now. Well, with this break into action, I guess, fellas, are we going to take it to a break? Okay, good deal. So we'll be right back. It's Detroit Cooley and Detroit Henry Ford, the battle for the west side. Hang on. The second quarter is coming your way.
Hey, fella, want to impress your steady girl? Take a tip from Nick at Night. Don't talk about the weather. Tell her about your local cable operator. She'll be amazed to learn that they receive the Nick at Night signal from a satellite 22,000 miles out in space. Say, why not mention that the whole trip takes only 3.2 seconds? And then tell her how you both depend on your local cable operator to bring the classic TV of Nick at Night into your home every night. That should get results. If it doesn't, maybe it was never meant to be.
All wound up after a busy day, all you really want to do is just get home, check the paper, toss your coat, get to the den, flip on the TV, sit in your favorite chair, take your shoes off, loosen your tie, grab the remote control, kick back, and unwind.
What? You don't have remote control?
Uh-oh. It's kind of hard to unwind when you have to keep getting up and sitting down to change the channels. In fact, it's exhausting, not to mention missing a lot of what your cable system has to offer. So call your local cable company today. Take control, get
The remote and unwind.
Brought to you by the Weather Channel and your local cable operator.
Detroit Henry Ford doing a good job of ball control that second series. And there's your score, 8-0. Detroit Cooley on top of Detroit Henry Ford right now. And, you know, looking across the line of scrimmage, if I'm an offensive lineman for Detroit Henry Ford, man, these guys are so big. Here's the give straight up the middle, and that's how you beat a big line. And they just experienced that right there with number 5 busting through the middle for about 15 yards and a touchdown for Detroit Henry Ford.
This is the problem that we were talking about a bit earlier. Now, the 6 points for Henry Ford, but the problem defensively for this Cooley team, they received absolutely no help from their linebacking core. What this Cooley team needs to do, if they're this big, then what they have to do is they have to shift defensively, gap their linebackers to stop something like this, because if they're playing straight up, they're going to have problems.
Hubbard with that score, and Jemison gets in for the extra points. And a flag on the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, is the call against Chris Floyd. And that penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. But now the score is tied 8-8. Detroit Henry Ford, a fine drive.
Give this Henry Ford team all the credit in the world. They've amazed me all year. I look at the size of these guys, and I still don't understand how they're able to do what they're doing. Let's take a look at the touchdown. What happens here strictly is that Cooley just gets beat all over. Everyone, as you can see, the whole team stands there, and they're looking. They're just looking. They're watching the touchdown. And this is the problem. When you have guys that big, they're being chop blocked, they're getting beat to the punch defensively, offensively. Henry Ford is doing a fantastic job chop blocking the big guys. What they're going to have to do is find a way to bring their linebackers into the mix. If not, this is going to be a long day for this Cooley team.
Dennis Hubbard on that touchdown went in virtually untouched. And there's the call, unsportsmanlike conduct against Detroit Cooley. And the 2 points, or we thought the 2 points count, but they're gonna run it again. Let's see what happens here. I thought it might have been assessed on the kickoff, but maybe it was offsetting. I didn't see the official indicate that, but they're going to do it again. There is the homecoming crowd of Detroit Cooley.
And they're doing it again.
And they're rocking over there. And here is the give straight up the middle to Dennis Hubbard, and he's met by number 75, Lional Jellyroll Boston.
Say that again.
Lional Jellyroll Boston, 6'1", 320 pounds, and he's a senior.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. Right now, Cooley received a break. There's a break for this Cooley team. They're still up by 2 points. Score is 8-6. Let's see what this Cooley team is made out of. Let's see if they're going to be intimidated by what happened, or if they're going to gel better together as a team, as a unit, to try and put something together and win. Right now, what has to happen defensively? The coaches, they must come up with some kind of deal to stop this Henry Ford offensively from chopping down these big trees that they have on defense.
Well, Cooley's drive to the score was 8 plays, and successfully, because Dennis Hubbard just went into the end zone 15 yards untouched. And there's a look at the Henry Ford bench. The guys are into this game. This is a big game for both teams. The winner gets to go to the city championship and represent the West Side, and also big points for the state tournament. As Leon Merritt sets the kickoff, kicks it deep, waiting for the ball is Chris Floyd. He takes it right about his 10. Good job on the specialty teams. Like I said, the specialty teams are going to play a big factor in this one, and both teams are doing real well covering kickoffs.
Absolutely great job by Henry Ford. They swarmed that time. That swarming special unit did the job. And as you can see on the special play, on the replay here, it was a nice kickoff by Leon. I mean, this was major league here. He put this one nice. It was up there. And what happens is the hustle of this Henry Ford team makes up for a lot of problems that they have in size. Now take a look at what happened. They scoped this young man for Cooley. You've got 8 or 9 Henry Ford players over there. Absolutely no blockers for the Cooley team. All you seen was 2.
Here's the give to Chris Floyd off the right side. This young man is being recruited by every major college in the country. And as I peruse the crowd, I see a number of recruiters out, because it's that time of the year, folks, when the recruiters take to the high schools and try to find the next Emmitt Smith or the next Walter Payton.
Or the next Barry Sanders.
That's right. Here is the give on the sweep. Another fine job by the Henry Ford defense, as they might have picked up a yard on the play. Floyd picked up about 2 yards on his run. At that time, number 5, Harold McCullough, picked up about a yard or less on the play.
Well, one thing, you want to know something? I am constantly amazed by this Henry Ford team. They are beating this Cooley offensive unit completely up. I mean, defensively on the line. Watch these little guys. They're shooting the legs off from under the big fellas, and watch what the linebackers do.
Here's the give off to Chris Floyd off the right side. And he stopped. He draws a lot of attention when he gets the ball.
Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Let's take a look at the replay. I can show you exactly what I'm talking about, how this defensive unit for this Henry Ford team works so well together. What simply happens here, take a look at the line. Down low they go. Look at the linebackers. The linebackers come up into the gap. Bam, they're swarming right here, Chris Ford. Down he goes. Minimal gainage as far as yards are concerned. Give this Henry Ford team a lot of credit. They're a small unit, but they're making things happen.
4th down and 6. In punt formation goes Cooley. Here's the kick, a nice high one. Londell Bright, and Jemison gets away from it. He was just blocking, but Cooley will start the ball right about the 47. I'm sorry, Henry Ford will start at the 47-yard line in good field position.
Now it's Henry Ford has a chance again to push their way up the field. Their offensive unit has been winning the battle thus far against Cooley's defensive unit, and their defensive unit, Henry Ford's I'm speaking of, has been winning against the offensive unit against the Coolies. The Cardinals having hard problems with this.
Cooley Cardinals, there we go.
Yeah, thank you very much. I needed that, really. But the problem is that Cooley is having a lot of problems because they're getting chop blocked. Their linebackers are standing there doing nothing. They're going to have to get their guys to come up in and help.
Here's the give to Hubbard, number 5, and Hubbard picks up about 8 yards on that run.
There's nothing wrong with being a big fella on the football field, but you've got to move. You can't stand in one place. Take a look at what happens here. Again, pow, right through the hole and over through the left side. A couple of Cooley players down it, but then again, there was nothing going on from that Cooley defensive unit.
Dennis Hubbard now, the workhorse in this series. In the first series, it was Londell Bright and Leon Merritt getting the ball. Now it's Dennis Hubbard.
Well, the way this Cooley team is playing, Henry Ford really doesn't have to throw the ball. All they have to do is keep the ball on the ground with these spectacular backs that they have, and they can tire this defensive unit out for this Cooley team. But right now, the Cooley's defensive line, they need some help. Linebackers as well as defensive backs. Whenever the ball is given to one of these big guys, Merritt or whomever, what has to happen is the defensive backs are going to have to shoot in. The linebackers are going to have to cover the gap because their line is being beaten by this Henry Ford team right now.
And, you know, we keep mentioning that line, and we're going to mention some names on that line because they're averaging only about 160 across the front, and that's another first down for Mike Marshall and his Henry Ford Trojans. So Henry Ford using the ball control method and the wishbone, but now they're in the I formation with Leon Merritt, the tailback. Jemison decides to keep it, and he's wrapped up by number 42 on Detroit Cooley, which is Ramon Dawson.
That looked as though it was a broken play for the Henry Ford team. And what happened was that Jemison decided to just keep the ball and try to make something out of nothing.
So that's a loss of a yard on the play. Makes it 2nd down and 11. High formation in the slot. Here's the first pass for Henry Ford, and that one's short by Jemison.
Henry Ford decided to let this Cooley team know that we can air it if we need to. But the way their backs are running the ball, there's really no need to put it up in the air. They're playing smash mouth football, and it's working for them. They're playing smash mouth football with this small. I'm telling you, I'm just amazed with this Henry Ford team. As small as these guys are, they're winning.
Slot right here to give up the middle. That's Jemison with the ball. He's going to go into the end zone for a touchdown. Yes!
Score it. Again, Jeff, the big problem, that line was beat. Plain and simple. It was a quick hit, pow, right through a hole, right through a gap. There was nobody there. Look at what happened. Look at what happened. Touchdown.
Marquie Jemison, 5'11", 152-pound senior, carrying a pretty good GPA, keeps it and tracks 47 yards for the score. Here's the extra point. Jemison on the kick.
Oh, what a hit on number 75.
Yes, sir.
Number 53 put a hit. Oh, man. Look, Marcus Floyd put a hit. Don't tell me about size. Talk to me about heart, folks.
Marcus Lloyd only weighing 185.8. And in this series of plays, Detroit Henry Ford, 5 plays,
Touchdown here.
and 53 yards. Go ahead.
As we just talked about earlier, sheer speed, quickness enabled this Henry Ford team to score on this here play. What happens is that Henry Ford seems as though they have discovered that quick pops through the gaps, up the middle, will beat this Cooley team because this Cooley defensive unit is not moving. The linebackers aren't moving, neither are the defensive linemen. So as long as they continue to do that, I'm pretty sure that this Henry Ford team will continue to play as they have been. Quick pops, right up the middle, with the speed and the agility. Size really doesn't mean anything on this team.
5 plays, 53 yards in that drive for Detroit Henry Ford. Here's the short kick. And let's see how the special teams cover. They do another fine job in covering. The special team units are standing up for Detroit Henry Ford.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the Henry Ford team is clicking on all cylinders. I'm telling you, they're moving great. Take a look at what happened on the kickoff here. Low kick, and just look at the hustle of this Henry Ford team. Now, this is what I want you to take a look at. You cannot beat hustle. They hustle down the field, and there you have two nice shots. Down goes the runner for this Cooley team. And it's just happened for Henry Ford is just playing great as a team right now.
Matthew Irving on the stop. Here's a counter play. This one might get broken wide open. Plenty of room. Londell Bright trying to run it down. Let's see, can he do it? That's going to be a touchdown for Detroit Cooley.
Absolutely. Folks, I don't know what to say. This game is turning into nothing more than a highlight reel.
Deion Grubbs just marched 70 yards on the carry.
Absolutely great play by this Cooley team. Couldn't have been called at a better time, really. They needed something to go in there, go positive to happen for them, to go in a positive direction. It did. They scored 6 points. They're back in this contest. But right now, my problem is still with this Cooley defensive unit. It's not with the offense. It's with the defense.
On the extra point attempt is no good. So the 2-point conversion is no good. And Detroit Cooley is on that counter. I want you to watch the counter play and the handoff there.
Nice counter. It even tricked me because I thought it was going the other way. But look at what happens. A couple of defenders fall down. Nice wide turn. He's just up the field sailing by himself. But then look who comes into the picture. Londell Bright. This guy has a lot of speed, but then so does the runner for Cooley. He scores absolutely great play for this team at that time.
That was a 81-yard run for the touchdown for Dion Grubbs.
I'm telling you, this game is turning into a highlight reel. Right now, somebody's defense is going to have to stand up.
Cooley getting set to kick off. As number 79, that's Carlos Piner, kicks one deep and maybe into the end zone. His momentum carried him into the end zone. So that ball will be marked at the 20, and that's where Detroit Ford will start their offense. I'm trying to get a look at that clock. It looks like about 6 minutes left here in the first half. 14-14 your score. And we're going to take another look, possibly from another angle of that big run. And yes, it is. There it is.
Quickly, what happens is, again, sheer speed is what makes this play come about. The whole defensive unit for Henry Ford was tricked into running right, and this Cooley team decides to go to the left side. A smart idea it was. They score. We now have a tied game between these two teams.
That was created, I believe, by the pursuit of the Henry Ford defense, anticipating that Chris Floyd was going to get the ball. And like I said earlier, he draws a lot of attention, and that's what you can do from that. Here's the give, the first back through. That's Dennis Hubbard, and he might have picked up 2 yards on the play.
Well, just as Floyd is used he should be used a little bit more as a decoy. I think it would help this Cooley team out, just as sometimes this Henry Ford team uses Merritt as a decoy, and then you have Londell Bright doing his thing.
Barden Cable's Game of the Week. There's your score, folks. If you're just joining us, we're in the second quarter, and 14-14. Here's the option to Londell Bright. First man to the play is number 34, Chris Floyd.
Chris Floyd is doing it both offensively and defensively for this Cooley team. This guy has the look of a running back. He has the size. He has the look of a running back. He runs the ball very well. He's got good focus, not only offensively but defensively. He seems to know what's going on that field at all times, and that's very important. You can always pick your leaders out just by the things that certain people do on the field.
3rd down and 7 for the Trojans. 5 minutes here into the second quarter. And here's the give to Merritt. No, that's Jemison, with Merritt leading the way. Close to another first down for the Trojans.
Right now, Henry Ford is still content with playing smash mouth football for him. Playing smash mouth football, and it's working. They're still winning at the line of scrimmage.
Jemison, and there are your standings for the West Side Division. As you can see, Henry Ford is on top. Cooley's number 2 at 4-1. Bradford 4-1. Chatsey 3-2. McKenzie, Cody, and Mufford make up the rest. But Henry Ford and Cooley are the principals this afternoon. Jemison picked up the first down on the play. Jemison on the rollout. Merritt out in front has a little room, but that time the defense of Detroit Cooley and number 6, that's Jermaine Woods, stops the play with good pursuit.
Okay, this Henry Ford team is doing exactly the same thing they've done the past several possessions. They're running wide, one time left, one time right. Look for something quick to go right up the middle. They're trying to stretch out this big defensive unit for Cooley, and let's see if there's going to be something quick popping right up the middle for him right about now.
Jemison picked up about 4 yards on the play, and the give to Jemison keeps that one again, and he picks up another yard.
Well, that play was due because they've been doing it now their last several possessions. They run this team one way wide, they run it wide right, wide left, and then suddenly somebody tries to pop up the middle. And it's been successful. That time they happen to get caught. Let's see what they're going to do now, because right now Cooley has turned up their defense a notch.
3rd and 1 and a penalty on the play. Let's see who it's against. Legal procedure against the offense. So they're going to mark off 5 yards against Detroit Henry Ford. So instead of 3rd and 1, it's going to be 3rd and about 6.
Look at that line for Cooley. Number 76, number 51, number 66, number 49. These are some big, young guys.
Here's the give to Bright. Bright scoops close to the first down. As on the stop was Chris Floyd. Let's see if they ask for a measure. No, they're a lot shorter than I think from my angle here.
But I think, Henry, this is a nice point. Let's see if Henry Ford's going to go for this one. I think this is an important possession because we all know defenses play really great ball in the PSL come the second half. So whatever you can get in the first half, take it.
Here's the give to Merritt, and he falls close to the first down with 2 minutes and about 50 seconds here in the second quarter of play. Some exciting high school football action, folks, and I must say that I've seen some high school football in other states, and this is some of the exciting football that you'll see anywhere. And if you're a true football fan, there's a look at Merritt falling for the first down.
Nothing, just nothing really extravagant. Just a quick hit right up the side through the gap. Pick up the first for Henry Ford.
Hubbard on the carry and no gain on the play. Second down for the Trojans.
It's about time for another wide run.
You called it. Student body left. Jemison out front is Merritt. Lost the ball at the end of the play, but the ground cannot cause the fumble. And close to another first down.
Right now, what's going on is Henry Ford is just simply picking its points. Henry Ford is picking where they're going to fight at. Look at what happens again. They're running this Cooley team wide. Look at what this offensive line for this Henry Ford team. They turned this Cooley team completely inside. Large, substantial amount of yards picked up. Now we're going wide the other way.
Jemison, and that time a good pursuit by Cooley. Jellyroll, Boston on the tackle, along with number 76, Brian Smothers, and a host of others as Jemison gets up and limps off the field.
I'm telling you, his knee was in a very awkward position when he was put down, and it was also a couple of big fellas for this Cooley team piling on top of him. And I'm telling you, that knee was in a very awkward position.
So replacing him at quarterback is Londell Bright.
Just to do everything all the time, man.
Wing formation, Bright on the rollout with the ball. A dangerous person with the ball. Gets outside and out of bounds, and another first down with 1 minute left here in the second quarter.
This Henry Ford team is having a lot of success against this Cooley team running wide, simply because this Cooley team defensively is not quick enough, not fast enough to hang with this Henry Ford team as far as speed is concerned. Take a look at Lional. We'll show you what he does. Two nice blockers, and look at the hole that was made there for him by his blockers. Speed does the rest of it for him. He runs wide, and he picks up some large yardage on that play.
Leon Merritt on the carry.
Again, that quick pop right up the middle. They run him wide right. They run him wide left. Then somebody tries to go up the middle. Right now, I wouldn't be surprised to see a pass in this situation because Cooley right now is stuck on left and right and up the middle. They may go to sleep defensively as far as a pass is concerned. Let's see what happens.
Clock continues to tick. And Ford determined to run it in. And Cooley and number 75 on the stop, Lional Jellyroll Boston, was 29 seconds here in the second quarter.
There's 29 ticks, and this isn't the time right now. I think right now, Henry Ford, let's take a look at what happens here. All he tries to do is put up a wall in front of him and run right because they've been very successful against this Cooley team. Somebody tipped on the inside for this Cooley team, ankle grabbed him, down he went. Yardage wasn't as big as they wanted, but they did pick up some.
Bright picked up about 2 yards on the play, so it's going to be third down and 2. for the first down, 29 seconds, and both teams have exerted a lot of energy in this first half of play.
Absolutely.
And Henry Ford, offensive unit, the offensive line of Henry Ford, and going both ways, which most of these young men do. This kind of game can definitely wear you down.
And I think more so for Cooley than for Henry Ford. The next score, I think the team that scores the next points, I would normally say that the team that scores next would win, but I really wouldn't say that right now, simply because this Henry Ford team still looks fresh, and this defensive unit for Cooley looks a little bit tired. But they've been running this Cooley team, wide right, wide left. I'm looking for something quick up the middle right now. If not, it has to be a pass play.
Hubbard's alone, setback. Londell Bright trying to get outside, trying to beat the pursuit, and does. I don't know if he picked up the first down or not, but he's knocked out of bounds. Good speed from the second line people, the linebackers and defensive backs, to string that out.
Well, it really doesn't make any difference if he didn't get the first down that particular play, because this is 4-down territory for this Henry Ford team anyway. We've only got a few ticks left on the clock here in the first half of this game. So if anything, they may go for the first down here. They may go for the score here. It's been very successful running this team wide, but they still haven't thrown the ball yet. Look at this Cooley team. The guys are squat, hands on the side, breathing hard. They look to be tired.
Only 2 ticks on the clock in this first half of play. They're going to ask for a measurement just to be on the safe side and see if it's a first down or not. Troy Cooley, as this season has gone, the interim head coach, Sammy Sims, and the reason why he's the interim head coach is the original head coach, which is Michael Creighton, was suspended for the rest of the season due to some, how should I put this, language that can't be repeated over the airwaves being said to another team. But he's suspended for the rest of the season. Sammy Sims has taken over, and they haven't lost a beat, the Detroit Cooley team. They went on and beat Northern, they beaten Cody, and they're having a fine season. 2 seconds left on the clock. Detroit Henry Ford in the white with the ball. Right about the 22-yard line. Here's the give to Hubbard. Hubbard breaks through. He might get in. And he was stopped short of the end zone.
So close.
Folks, 2 seconds ticked off the clock. The clock that I'm watching is not the official clock. So let's see what's going to happen.
And let's see what happened on that, excuse me, last play. We're going to wait for the replay to come up so we can take a look at it. But then again, it was, well, we're going to cancel the replay. Anyway, it was sheer speed. And that's what it was about. That offensive line for Henry Ford has been working. What they've been doing is out-positioning this Cooley team. One thing you always tell a young guy, if the man that you're playing across from you is bigger than you are, you use his weight against him. And that's exactly what this Henry Ford team has been doing all day long. Where this Cooley defensive unit has felt they've been trying to go one way, this Henry Ford team has been using their weight against them to make them go another. So that's where they've been successful. And it's hurted this Cooley team. Cooley has a big team, but sometimes bigness really isn't, wrapped up as all that they claim it to be. And if you got guys with a lot of heart, it's going to do those chop blocks, going to get the big fellas down. And you got the backs such as Merritt, big enough to knock some big guys down to get in that end zone. It's going to be a long day. Like I said, size oftentimes doesn't mean all that much.
We'll say under 10 seconds left in this first half to be on the safe side.
Okay, Jeff.
As Henry Ford threatens to score, Londell Bright, he's going to get outside with that speed, and he does for the touchdown.
That's something you can't teach. You can't teach speed. You can't teach it. Whenever you find somebody like Londell Bright, you just marvel at the things that he does on the field. Speed is what caused that touchdown. And right now, this is one tired Cooley defensive unit, Jeff.
So the two-point conversion. Leon Merritt gets in. So Detroit Cooley, let me count the number of plays they used, but they sure did take a lot of time off the clock.
And I like this. I look at this Henry Ford team's uniforms. I like what I see. Look, they're dirty and sweaty and grimy. And it shows you that these guys are out there playing hard. I mean, they're sweating. They're just playing great football right now. They're also playing against a much bigger team, but it doesn't seem to face this Henry Ford team. They're playing great as a unit. They're gelling offensively, defensively. Their special teams are clicking on all cylinders. You can't ask for any more than that if you're a coach.
17 plays, 5 first downs for Detroit Henry Ford. And you can't ask for a more disciplined drive than we just saw there.
Absolutely.
Chris Floyd receives the ball at his 20, looking for some help around the sideline. Chris Floyd, the sprinter, the best sprinter in the PSL, takes it back as time runs out in the first half.
This guy has the look of a running back, Jeff. He has all the attributes that one needs. He has the style, he has the balance. Did you see the way he just turned it up a notch when he got to them, and he just passed everyone as though they were standing still. Great half of football.
So that's going to do it for the first half. Exciting first half for both these teams. But Detroit Henry Ford on top, 22-14 over Detroit Cooley. This is the PSL Game of the Week. I'm Jeff Lowe, and I'm with Quentin King, of course. We'll be right back for some more football, the second half, when we come back. Hang on.
You want the time you spend at home.
Of the finest games we've seen all year long. There's your score. Detroit Henry Ford 22, Detroit Cooley 14. Last year when these two teams locked horns, they had 3 overtimes and the final score was 22-14. We're almost set for kickoff as Leon Merritt puts up his hand as we get ready to start this second half. We're going to recap the first half scoring for you real quickly. Cooley got on the board first with the McCullough touchdown reception, the one that was tipped into his hands. Then it was Henry Ford in the second drive, 9 plays, 45 yards, and Hubbard capping that drive with a 20-yard run. Then Jemison, the QB, had a 47-yard run for a touchdown. And then it was an 80-yard run from scrimmage for Deion Grubbs, which tied the score 14-14. And then on the last drive we just saw before halftime, Detroit Henry Ford, 17 plays, 53 yards, and capping the touchdown was Londell Bright with a 3-yard touchdown run, which makes the score 22-14. And your thoughts on that first half, Quentin King?
Spectacular first half. First of all, you got 3 of the best backs in the PSL playing today. You got Chris Ford, you got Leon, you got Londell Bright, and you got Leon Merritt. I mean, from all over the country, recruiters are here, from Miami, from Eastern, from Michigan, from everywhere to watch these guys play. I'm telling you, this is a tremendous pool of talent in the PSL.
Here's the give to, just tripped up by Londell Bright. Chris Floyd almost broke a big one.
Chris Ford is my pick for an all-around back. This guy will be a back in college. I can't say the same for everybody else, but I have absolutely no doubt that he will be that. Let's take a look at the replay here. See what happens. There's just a quick handoff, and what he tries to do is go wide left. He just about makes it, but he's tripped up with a shoestring tackle by one of the Henry Ford defenders. And this guy, I'm telling you, he's an outstanding back. You're going to hear a lot of things about this Chris Ford. This guy has the ability, the speed, and he's got the heart.
Floyd picks up the first down. And the give was to number 5 on the carry that time for Detroit Henry Ford, which was Harold McCullough.
Right now, neither one of these teams can afford to go to sleep. Although Henry Ford has a lead, it really doesn't mean anything, especially when you got backs like a Chris Ford that can break it open in one play and tie this contest up.
Here's the give to McCullough once again. testing the left side of that defensive line of Detroit Henry Ford, and maybe a pickup of a yard on the play.
Now what they're doing is they're using Chris Ford. Cooley is using Chris Ford right now as a decoy because the whole Henry Ford team is beaming in on him, and right now they're trying to spread the ball around. They want to get back into this game.
We're at Detroit Cooley High School, like we said earlier, and the Cooley Cardinals are on the march. Here is Deion Grubb, fumble on the play. Look who's there. Londell Bright on the fumble recovery. Big break for Detroit Henry Ford.
You got to like this guy. He's got a lot of heart for Henry Ford. But sometimes that's what happens when you try to go for that extra yard. I mean, you're pulling and all that other great stuff. And what happens is that you lose the ball. Take a look at the replay and see what happens. Right there, the ball is tucked away fine. Zooming through the hole, picked up some good yardage. But that fumble was caused by a defender for the Henry Ford team, then picked up by Lional Bright, who advanced the ball about several yards or so. Right now, Henry Ford has possession as well as the lead here in the second half of this contest.
Matthew Irvin, there's another look from that's at the end of the play. Matthew Irvin caused the fumble. Here's the give to Dennis Hubbard off the left side, and he may have picked up about 5 yards on the play.
Something that was very successful for this Henry Ford team throughout the first half was running this Cooley team wide right, wide left, and trying something quick up the middle. I don't know if I would go right back to it. What's that old saying? If it ain't fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's exactly what was going on with this Henry Ford team. Let's see if they're going to get back to that style of playing.
Note for Detroit Henry Ford, Jemison, who went out at the end of the first half with an injury, is back at quarterback. So now they have the triple threat in the backfield with Bright, Merritt, and Hubbard, and Jemison.
And you still can't say
quad triple threat.
Right. And you still can't say enough about this offensive and defensive unit for this Henry Ford team, simply because they're a lot smaller than this Cooley team. I think this Cooley defensive line outweighs this Henry Ford offensive line by about 360 pounds. I mean, from what I see here.
On the average, they do. The Cooley offensive line, the defensive lines weigh close to 270 pounds on the average. That's a college offensive line. And there's a look at the big man, the anchor in that defensive line, Lional Jellyroll Boston, getting some instructions from his assistant coach on the sideline. But you're right, number 66, 311 pounds, 6'5", and he's over a guy that's only about 6'3" or 5'8" normally. But who's winning the battle? Here's the pitch to Londell Bright, off the right side, avoiding tacklers, and close to another Henry Ford first down.
And Leon Merritt just put a hit on one of the defenders for the Cooley team. You can hear the sound from up here, and nothing but dust settled on the dirt area there. Take a look what happened. It's nothing more than a pitch out, running right, I should say, to Londell Bright. He has some nice blocking out in front of him. This little fella, I'm going to tell you something, he's not all that big in stature, but he certainly has a lot of heart.
Wishbone for the Trojans. And Leon Merritt on the carry.
But I tell you something, Jeff, you look at a guy like Londell Bright. This is the kind of guy that scares college teams. When he goes to college, I see this guy being used in punt return situations, kickoff situations. He's got the speed. He's a smart guy. If you get him behind a big fella, it's going to be hard to bring him down. And it's happening right out here in this game today. He's doing it with his teammates.
Wishbone, pitch to Bright. A defender broke through the line, number 42 for Detroit Cooley, which was Damone Dawson, and slung.
Not only slung, but
right down.
Fell on by number 75 for this Cooley team.
And Bright is hurt after hitting the turf very hard, holding the shoulder.
If we can have a replay of that, guys, we can see exactly what caused that injury. I think what happened was he maybe had the air knocked out of him. Let's take a look at what happens. Simply, Londell tries to recover the ball, and watch this. Hi-ya! Hello. That's what happened, folks.
Lional Jellyroll Boston, number 75. And these guys have been falling on people all afternoon. Jellyroll Boston weighs 320 pounds, 6'1".
Leon Bright. Leon weighs 150 pounds soaking wet.
So quite obviously, he did get the wind knocked out of him.
Yeah.
And let's hope he didn't lose anything else.
That's a big fella.
But I think Bright is okay because he's strapping his helmet back up. Penalty on the play. Maybe too much time. Yes, delay a game against Detroit Henry Ford.
Right now, this is where Henry Ford really doesn't want to make any mistakes. They don't want to give this Cooley team any kind of incentive to get back into this ball game, because right now, Cooley seems like they're the walking wounded. They're walking around. They're not really peppy. They're not really pepped up. I don't really see somebody shoving this Cooley defense to get them ready to do what needs to be done. On the other hand, you have Henry Ford's offense. They've been beating Cooley to the punch all day long. They've been chop blocking. They've been team blocking. They've been doing everything necessary to score points against this team. And they've been hitting the holes rather successful, from Londell Bright to Jemison to Merritt.
Third down at about 20. The screen pass to Hubbard. Somebody get on it. Well, whistles blow. Incomplete pass. Only their second pass of this game.
Right. Well, that was great coverage by the Cooley team. You got to give them credit on that play right there. Henry Ford didn't disguise that deep screen very well, and it was read very good, I should say, very well by this Cooley team. And right now, that puts Henry Ford in punt formation.
Back to Harold McCullough, some problems in the punt as Jemison, and a big mental turnover for Henry Ford.
You seen that one coming from the time it left the center. It was way up. It was too far. It was too high up. Let's take a look at it and see what happens here. He's waiting for it. He has to jump up. One hand brings it down, slips on the turf, down. Instead of him trying to fumble around with it, he just takes it, covers it, takes it for a loss. Cooley will take possession. They've got rather good field position right here.
So Cooley will take over at the 36-yard line of Detroit Henry Ford. Long setback. Chris Floyd in the backfield. The give and a fumble, and Henry Ford is there to recover. The handoff was too low, and Charles Gruder was there to recover the ball for Detroit Henry Ford. So one turnover leads to another, and Detroit Henry Ford dodges a big bullet.
Tried to run without the ball. Let's see what happens. You know, it was a bad handoff by the quarterback. What happens is that you had a Henry Ford player, number 11, standing around in there watching the action, and that's Terrence Dennis. He happens to be the guy that recovered it.
T formation. Jemison on student body left. Got a little room on the outside, dodging, dipping, and finally brought down after a pickup of about 20 yards.
Henry Ford looks as though they're ready to go back into that wide run mode again. Running left wide, running right wide, I should say, and then try to pop something right up the middle, because right now this Cooley team has to be tight. They've been out the whole second half.
First down, T formation. Here's the give to the first back through.
That looks like Leon Merritt.
And the big man, Leon Merritt, on the carry.
And when you have a big fella like that running at you, believe me when I tell you, he's going to take something out of you. It's hard to bring these big guys down, especially when you've been on defense as long as Cooley has. And right now, Henry Ford is marching forward again.
Pick up of about 7. Merritt with the ball again, dives, and he might be close to another Henry Ford first down.
And he looks as though he may have fell on the ball and knocked the wind out of himself as well.
Merritt goes down. 2 Henry Ford players down. Number 50, one of the offensive linemen for Detroit Henry Ford, and also Leon Merritt. Slow getting up.
This is the unconscious time during a football game, the second half, and what happens is that your defensive units normally play a bit more superior than your offensive units do. And what's going on right now, what happens is that you don't think about what you're doing, you react to what is supposed to happen. And that's what's happening with both these teams right now. They're reacting, they're not thinking right now, they're just letting their ability do the things that need to be done. Cooley, on the other hand, right now defensively, they've been out there for a long time, and it may hurt them. They're already down by a touchdown. They cannot afford to get down by another. If they do, this game is over.
Leon Merritt, okay, trots off without any help. He'll get some assistance on the sideline, and we'll probably see him back in there. So Henry Ford is going to have to do it without their big man. After picking up a first down, he takes a breather. Here's Jemison trying to get outside, and does. Avoids one tackler, shoots another. Jemison down to about the 9-yard line of Detroit Cooley after being brought down by Chris Floyd.
Absolutely great blocking by this Henry Ford unit to enable their quarterback to pick up some substantial yardage on that play. There was some great hitting going on out there. That's exactly what you have to like about this Henry Ford team. Everybody's always out there doing something. Take a look at the replay. Let's see what happens here. Again, this team is running wide left. He has blockers in front of him, but then again, you have to remember, there's a lot of speed on this team. Watch this. That's one to miss. And there's the wrap-up that put him down by number 34. And again, that's Chris Ford. He's doing it offensively as well as defensively. I like this guy for Cooley. I'm telling you, he's going to be a big-time player.
Merritt on the carry, coming back in, getting right involved, or back involved in the offense. Pickup of about a yard on the play. And they're in that zone where it's tough to score, but they got the ability to put it in, and they have the running backs to do it. T formation for Henry Ford, and Leon Merritt on the call again. No, that's not Merritt. That's number 5, Dennis Hubbard.
Taking a look at the crowd here. I mean, this is a large crowd today. The homecoming game. It's great to see all the parents, fans, spectators, friends, family out here watching these two teams play today.
That offensive line for Detroit, Henry Ford, I know we've said it time and time again about their size, but number 57, Londell Bright, 6'4", 265, the biggest guy on the line and also the leader and the guy that they usually run behind. And when they run right, or when they go into that student body formation, the T formation with Lional Bright, as you can see standing right here, number 1, you can watch for him to run right behind Rondell Marsh, number 57, David Reed, number 58, Kenyatta Sayers, number 56, and the center Marcus Floyd. They run left. Jemison trots in for the easy touchdown.
They've been successful at this all day long. Running wide right, running wide left, popping something up the middle. This has been the weakness for Cooley. Their linemen, they're not fast enough to stop these speedy backs and quarterbacks from this Henry Ford team. I'm telling you, speed is something that you can't teach, and this speed has put a hurting on this Cooley team this day.
So after Detroit, Cooley fumbled at their own 37, Henry Ford took over and marched it down 7 plays, and a touchdown, the 6-yard run by Jemison. Here's the extra point conversion. Jemison doesn't get in, fumbles. Doesn't mean anything anyway on the extra point attempt. So, Henry Ford not able to convert. And your score, Detroit Henry Ford 28, Detroit Cooley 14. We'll be right back with more exciting PSL action after this.
It's
you think all television looks the same.
Tune into Playboy TV on Monday nights for a unique series that we call Playboy Originals, featuring Playboy Pop Rock with the latest uncensored music videos. Playboy 360, erotic news uncovered.
Playboy secret confessions and fantasies where intimate thoughts become seductive realities.
Eden, television's most provocative nighttime drama, and more. Playboy Originals, produced exclusively by Playboy, especially for you. Find out what you've been missing. Order now.
Mother Nature has blessed us with a wonderful day for football in the city of Detroit. Temperature right around 60 degrees, as you can see, this bright sunny day. And it's been a bright day for Detroit Henry Ford as Leon Merritt kicks it off. Let's see if Cooley can get on track after a couple turnovers that set him back. And here's another look at that Henry Ford touchdown.
Absolutely, it was beautiful. Look at what happens. He has 3 blockers out in front of him. There's Merritt out in front, and I mean, he gets through just about unscathed. Paya, look at the hits. I mean, they're hitting magnificently out there, this Henry Ford team.
Right at the end of the play, you saw Merritt with a fine block to actually get Jemison into the end zone for the score.
And right now for this Cooley team, they must forget about decoying Chris Floyd right now. They've got to give this young man the ball, because if they're not going to put it in the air, he's got to get out there and do his thing. One play is all it takes. He's a big fella, but he has a lot of speed. And believe me when I tell you, he can take it coast to coast. Let's take a look at Merritt again, this nice hit that Merritt gives. As you can see here, what happens, the quarterback comes around. Take a look at this number 9, Paya, as you can see right there. See ya. Stretched him out wide. Stretched him out wide. That was number 21 for Cooley that was stretched out. Cooley Cardinal sign over by the fence, as you can see.
And that's one thing you have to do as a running back on any level, be able to block. And sometimes you don't see that here on the high school level as well in the top line players you do, like Londell Bright and Leon Merritt, and also Chris Floyd. Here's that other counter play. That's Grubb. That last time they ran this one, they broke it for 80 yards, and this time Henry Ford sniffs it out.
I think what happened, it was that Henry Ford's coaching staff had told the fellas to watch out for this play. It burnt us once before. I don't want to see it happen again, because right now they've got to try some things to get back on the scoreboard. We're up by 2 touchdowns. What they're going to have to do, as far as I'm concerned, as I said a little bit earlier, they're going to have to stop decoying Chris Floyd. They're going to have to give this young man the ball. They're going to have to try a lot of things. They're 2 scores down. They've got to get back in this game. We're deep in the 3rd quarter right now.
Double wing to give to Floyd, bobbing and weaving and spinning and down close to the 1st down. Well, actually, it is a 1st down.
This guy has all the
Cooley.
natural ability that anyone could possibly ask for. Let's watch and see exactly what he does here. Look at this. I love the way he holds the ball with both hands. He's very disciplined. He spins his center of gravity, the way he squares his shoulders up. He lowers the head, and when the guy sees daylight, he stands up as like a stallion. He's gone. Give this young man a lot of kudos.
That time to give to number 5, that's Terrell McCullough. And actually, folks, that wasn't a 1st down. He just got it beyond the line of scrimmage on the last play. So it was 3rd down and about 6. So now it's going to be 4th down after that McCullough run. 4th down and about, let's say about 3.5 or 4 for a 1st down for Detroit Cooley.
And you can forget about Cooley punting the ball away. This is all from here on out. It's 4-down territory for this Cooley team. They're 2 scores down. This first down is very important for them right here. This may be the play of their game right here. This may be their whole year, this play.
Double wing McCullough. And overthrows the wide open Chris Floyd.
Also, number 88 for Cooley was wide open. Standing out there, Londell Bright caught up to him a little bit late, but believe me, if he had rolled right and put that ball up in the air, it would have been 6 for this Cooley team.
Richard Milliner on the rollout, and that time missed out on a big opportunity for a first down. And there's a look at the Henry Ford contingent here at Detroit Cooley High School, as they're very happy that their Henry Ford team is on top of Detroit Cooley by a score of 28 to 14. Wishbone, the give to Hubbard. Hubbard picks up about 2 yards on the play.
One thing that you can take a look at, one thing that you can talk about as far as this Henry Ford team is concerned, they are by far the most disciplined team that I've seen this year. They don't make that many mistakes. Take a look at the score. Henry Ford up by 2 scores, 28 to 14. They don't make that many mistakes, and when they do, they often make up for them. Everybody's always out doing something.
Jemison, plenty of room. Defender slips down and in for another score. So Jemison takes it 40 yards for another Henry Ford score.
Again, that line completely dominated the Cooley team. Cooley looked as though they weren't even in existence. The way this offensive unit for this Henry Ford team just knocked them out the way, went into the end zone. Another score for this Henry Ford team. Right now, Cooley is just looking very bad, very tired right now. This defensive unit has been out on the field the majority of the game.
And look at the Henry Ford offensive line run up to the ball. Here's the give to Merritt. Merritt looking and finding. Let's see if he found the end zone. No, he couldn't find the end zone after he was stopped and met by a host of Cooley defenders on the extra point.
As we talked about a little bit earlier, size oftentimes really doesn't mean all that much. As long as you've got a team that's disciplined, that has the heart, that knows how to angle bigger players, that's been to the dance a couple of times before, as this Henry Ford team has, I'm telling you, you go with heart and experience over all of this. Let's take a look at the touchdown and see what happens here. Again, this Henry Ford team completely pushes this Cooley team, all just pushes them on the inside like a loaf of bread. Look at number 75. Look at all of the big fellas are standing around doing nothing. It was all over. They were standing there. That's one thing that you can't say about this Henry Ford team. This Henry Ford team, every player is out there doing something. They're blocking somebody, they're hitting somebody, they're out there doing something. It shows you the maturity. It also shows you that this Henry Ford team is ready to vie again for another championship.
The last time these two teams met, it was double overtime at Henry Ford, and Henry Ford was victorious. Look at the pursuit, the coverage of the specialty teams. They rise to the occasion again. They're doing a good job, and they've been doing that all game long.
And again, even on the Cooley special teams, the whole right side of that Cooley team, they just stood there and did absolutely nothing. Let's take a look at the kickoff. Show you exactly what we're talking about. A host of Henry Ford players are hustling down right now toward the young man with the ball. Now let's look at this. Number 42, he stands there. Instead of making a hit, he stands with his back turned toward his team. If we had a wider shot, I hope we do. We can show that to you in a few minutes or so and show you exactly what this Cooley team was doing. What it was not.
The first guy to the play that time was Jamil Ely, number 47, doing some great job on the specialty teams for Detroit Henry Ford. Milliner rolling out, avoiding tacklers, getting outside.
And if this Cooley team doesn't watch themselves right now, they're primed right now for a blowout, is what they're primed for, because they're no longer playing as a team. What I see right now is individual play. I really didn't see that much great blocking from the offensive linemen. When the ball was run on the outside, everyone stood there and watched. Again, this is something you don't see from this Henry Ford team. This Henry Ford team is constantly blocking, hitting somebody. That's the difference between a team that is championship bound and has the heart and understand what it takes to get to that plateau of championship play, and one that doesn't.
Detroit Cooley faced with a second down and about 8 after Miller picked up a couple yards on the play, and once again the pass from Miller, errant pass. Chris Floyd slipped down and couldn't regain his footing, and the pass goes incomplete.
If we can take a look again at this defensive play, let's take a look at what happened. Look at the big defensive back. These guys, these offensive linemen are beat to the punch. You can look at number 76 right on down the line. This Henry Ford team completely beat them at every phase and was getting back toward their quarterback. One thing that this offensive line needs to learn to do is take a few steps back and block. This is something, these guys may be big, but they haven't learned that yet.
Draw play to Chris Floyd, and he's frustrated. As you can see, 4th down and about 5.
Well, right now, if I was Cooley right about now, I would punt this ball out of here, because you don't want to give Henry Ford position in this particular territory right here, because, as I said, you don't want to get blown out.
4th down, movement, a big turnover, a mental mistake on the part of number 3 for Detroit Cooley. That was Deion Grubbs moving a little too soon.
Replay simply shows eagerness, and what happens is that he gives the play away right here. Payal running around, and
big number 66 who anchors that offensive line, that's Randy Mills. He had a little movement himself, so it's going to be 4th down and about 11 after the penalty. Yardage has been marked off. Now this is a crucial play. Well, they're going to decide to punt it right now. I don't know why they weren't in punt formation in the previous play.
That's true. This is a very smart move. Get that ball out of there, because this team is having a good time against them.
Bright thought about it, but he does now. Tries to spin away from a couple. Ball up in the air and into the hands of one of Cooley's defenders. And let's see if they're going to mark that down at the spot.
He was down when that ball popped loose. That'll be Henry Ford's possession.
A gutsy move by Londell Bright that time. Probably not necessary to touch it at all, but he took a big chance, figured he could spin out of it. Here it is.
And what he tries to spin out of it, and he is punished by 2 Cooley players. The ball hits the ground, pops out, and Cooley thought they had possession, was headed toward the end zone, was knocked down, but it was all for naught. Henry Ford still maintains control.
And Coach Marshall will talk to Lionel Bright, telling him, hey, young man, we don't need that in that situation. There's some of the young fans at Detroit Cooley High School. Here's the give to number 20 for Detroit Cooley, a new running back into the game. That's DeMar Donaldson on his first carry of this contest.
Sometimes people might ask, why would you punt the ball in a situation like that when you're 2 or 3 scores down? Simply because anything can happen. Right now, the ball is in the middle of the field. Say if Cooley gets a fumble or interception or something, they got great field position. They can work their way in the end zone 1 possession at a time.
Here's DeMar Donaldson again getting the call. Gives a good fake and outside and up the sideline, and he's probably brought down short of a touchdown at the 1-foot line of Detroit Cooley.
Well, that kicked that analogy right out the window, didn't it? Oh, I'm telling you, this Henry Ford team is something else. This is an outstanding unit.
45-yard run by Donaldson. All the way down to the 1-foot line of Detroit Cooley. Merritt Donaldson in the backfield. Donaldson gets the call again and met at the line of scrimmage, or behind the line of scrimmage, by number 5, Harold McCullough.
And he was stood up that time and was planted in the ground. I'm telling you, this little guy also, he reminded, because when I was looking at him run the ball, I thought it was Londell for a minute. And then you look at it and no, this isn't Londell. It looks as though Henry Ford has a couple of players like this with speed, agility, a whole lot of heart, and they can't be over 5'5", weigh more than 130 pounds.
Second down and goal for the Trojans. Here's the give to Merritt. When you want to score, who do you give it to? Leon Merritt, but he's a little short on this one. Right at the 1 foot mark.
Well, this is great for Henry Ford because all they're really doing is just playing, smash mouth right down at that particular time. Let's take a look at that big run and see what happens again. Again, their speed. Look how they just blocked. Look how Henry Ford just blocked that Cooley defense right in the middle like a block of cheese. And what happens is that number 20 for Henry Ford, DeMar Donaldson, he makes it on the outside, and speed makes it happen for him as well. He's dragged down about the 1 foot line, as Jeff said, but then again, this is what I'm talking about. One person sits down, another one comes in for this Henry Ford team.
Here's Merritt again, met head on by a couple Cooley defenders. Let's see if he got in on that third down play. No signal for touchdown yet, except from the Henry Ford players.
Well, right now, if I was Henry Ford, I would go for it here, too. I would do something that's been rather successful for me all day. I would run it wide because that's worked for this Henry Ford team so far.
Well,
and,
it's no doubt in my mind, and probably any of the viewers' minds, that they're going for it on this. And that's the difference between the ball and the goal line as you see it. They're going for it right there, Quentin.
Yeah, that's a smart move because even if they don't get it, Cooley has terrible field position.
Jemison, a little movement. Did they detect it? Yes. As the laundry hits the ground. So they'll mark it back. Actually, they won't mark it back. They'll probably take the ball from there. Let's see what they do. They might walk it 5 yards off against Detroit Henry Ford, and they do. So they'll get another shot at it. But this time, instead of from the 1 foot mark, they'll have to take 6 yards for the score.
Well, the only thing that this Henry Ford team can do right now, which as we talked about, they've been successful at it all day, is running wide.
And a timeout called by Coach Mike Marshall. And what a guy. What a guy, Mike Marshall. He's really developed this team. With this timeout, we're going to take a timeout. Looks like Detroit Henry Ford might be on their way to the Public School League Championship game. Here's your score. 34-14, Ford on top of Cooley. Hang on, we'll be right back.
It's big. It's bad. It's back. The NBA on TNT. The best schedule. The best analyst. No one rotated that All-Star Weekend. More playoff games than anyone. Oh, he loves it. So when we say nobody plays the NBA like TNT, we mean
Nobody.
the season begins November 5th.
It's 11 p.m. in New York City. Half a world away, an ancient ritual is about to begin. 4 a.m. on Wall Street. Across the Atlantic, a time-honored tradition is being observed. 6 a.m. Billions of dollars have already changed hands, and an American ritual is about to begin. World business, an analysis of the overnight financial news and its effect on the day's market. Weekdays on CNBC FNN Daytime.
Because of the destruction caused by a few on Devil's Night, the rhythm and heartbeat of a great city gets slowed down.
You have to have a place to live. It's pitiful. We got to start doing something about it now.
On October 30th, get mad. Help us stop Devil's Night arson. For one day, Wednesday, October 30th, for 6 hours, you can help stop Devil's Night fires in your neighborhood. To volunteer, call 224-3450. Get mad. Get involved. Stop Devil's Night Arson.
The following video is rated X for extreme. Max out twice a day on ESPN.
Henry Ford trying to spoil the homecoming celebration of Detroit Cooley and fakes out everybody that time. Fortunato getting open for the touchdown for Detroit. Henry Ford.
Henry Ford is on a roll, Jeff. I mean, they're on a roll downhill and picking up speed, gaining momentum. This team is getting primed for the playoffs, and they're clicking on all cylinders. They're playing great football. That last play just faked out everybody. The Cooley team was probably expecting them to run wide, and what happens is that you've got a quick fake and a quick pop right over the middle to a wide open receiver for this Henry Ford team.
Leo Fortunato. Here's the two-point conversion. Londell Bright in for the easy two-point conversion. Make it 42-14. Now, all of the second half has been Detroit Henry Ford.
Well, primarily all the second quarter going into the second half has been on Henry Ford. They turned it up a notch, and they've been playing some great football.
That drive anchored by DeMar Donaldson, the second-string tailback. He came in and ramped 45 yards to get Henry Ford down to the 2-yard line. And then it was a pass after 4 attempts to get into the end zone. It was the pass to cap the drive for Detroit Henry Ford, a 6-yard pass from Jemison to Leo Fortunato, which makes the score 42-14 in favor of the Trojans of Detroit Henry Ford. And the West Side Crown, they broke out with the West. We got to get a shot of this, camera guys. Henry Ford are wearing crowns on the sideline. This one goes into the end zone. As you know, in high school football, you can't run it out of the end zone once it reaches the end zone. The Henry Ford people are wearing their crowns to indicate they have won the West Side. The game clock here at Henry Ford, and there's some of the fans, Henry Ford contingent. The game clock says just about under 3 minutes left here in the fourth quarter. And if I'm going to go by that clock, I'll probably be better off guessing. Pro set in the backfield. Floyd dropping back to pass and finding an open receiver. Number 88 for Detroit. Detroit Cooley is Montel Johnson, and that's the first complete pass by either team. So Milliner completes the first pass of the game late here in the fourth quarter.
But in all honesty, though, you must ask yourself, why didn't Cooley go to this a little bit earlier in this contest?
There's a look at your standings on the west side of Detroit Public School League. The Western Division, Henry Ford is on top, 5-0. Cooley, 4-1. Bedford, Chassis, and the rest of the group fall in behind them. Milliner, back to pass, looking deep, finds an open receiver. That's McCullough, number 6. No, that's not McCullough. That's Jamon Woods, racing for a touchdown. A 60-yard pass reception and touchdown for Detroit Cooley.
You know, sometimes one of the biggest mistakes that coaches can make is when they have a nice back in the backfield, a nice quarterback, they seem to fall in love with the run. That's always been one of my biggest criticisms of Coach Schembechler when he was at the University of Michigan. But sometimes when you have a situation like Cooley's, you've got to mix it up. Just as several weeks back when we looked at the Finney-Denby game, there was a lot of mixing up going on in that game, from passing to surprise plays and everything else. And that's what that Cooley team should have been doing a little bit earlier in that contest, because I think it would have took a lot of credit off of a lot of problems off of Chris Ford, a lot of pressure, Floyd, I should say, and maybe things would have been a little bit different.
So Milliner completes a 60-yard pass for a touchdown, and here's a 2-point conversion. Ball given to Chris Floyd, number 34, and he gets in.
Now, I tell you, for the last several possessions, I've been looking at the big fellas for Cooley, and I want to tell you something, Jeff. Big is what they are, but they've got a lot to learn about football.
Might be too little, too late
yeah.
for Detroit Cooley, and here's a look at it.
Let's take a look. About a 7-step drop in the pocket, puts it up in the air. Look at who's there, right in the arms, right in the wheelhouse. There he goes up the field, just tearing down yardage. Defenders behind him trying to catch up with him. What happens? He scores. But then again, it shows you that there's another weapon that this Cooley team could have used against this Henry Ford team, but you don't know if they weren't, if it was confidence or what it was. But if they had mixed it up a little bit better, maybe, just maybe, this contest would have been a little bit different.
Detroit Cooley getting set to kick off. And they're wearing their crowns on the sidelines of Detroit Henry Ford.
Jeff, are those Burger King crowns?
No free advertising. Here's the onside kick attempt. Detroit Henry Ford ready for it. Didn't fool anybody. We knew it was almost to the 2-minute mark of this game being over. Detroit Henry Ford clearly in command. There's your score. Henry Ford 42, Detroit Cooley 22. The next step, there's a look at one of Henry Ford's players, number 64. Let's get a name on that guy. That's Dwayne Robinson, wearing his crown as they will become the West Side champions and represent the West Side in the PSL playoffs.
Let's call them the Kings of the Gridiron.
And they're not done yet. Dennis Hubbard picking up about 13 yards and a first down for Henry Ford.
If you look at this Henry Ford team, and if this Henry Ford team is playing and clicking like this, they're going to give a lot of teams in the playoffs problems. Let's look at the replays. You can see even now Henry Ford is not satisfied. They're still playing tough football. That offensive line is still blocking. The guys are still running. The helmets are going down. The shoulder pads are squaring up to the ground. Center of gravity is great. They're not quitting right now.
Option to Bright. Plenty of room on the outside. Put the juke on one guy. Looking for the corner of the end zone. And look at Londell Bright. Walk the chalk into the end zone.
Well, that's the old saying, he walk it like he talk it. He talks it very well. Oh, man, I'm telling you, this Henry Ford team is something else. But you want to know something? I look at this Cooley team. This Cooley team looks as though they're just saying, we quit, we've had enough, we don't want to play anymore. You know, there's a lot of things to question here. And one thing that you've got to learn as a football player is that sometimes you're going to have the bad times. Things are going to be really bad for you. You're going to go through the bad, the downs, the lows, but then you're going to go through the ups as well. So you got to prepare for either side of that coin.
40, make that a 39-yard run for a touchdown for Lionel Bright. There was a penalty on the play, but it was against Detroit Cooley, so play stands. TD for Lionel Bright. The happy and jubilant bench of Detroit Henry Ford.
As well it should be.
2-point conversion. Let's see if he got in. No, he doesn't. 49 to 22 is your score. And let's take another look at that run by Mr. Bright.
Nice pitch. Nice pitch. Londell just takes it, runs wide right. I'm having problems with the rights today. And wide left, I should say. Nothing but sheer speed. One hand in the, one ball on the, whatever. He takes the ball, one hand, he's in the end zone. Nothing but speed. That allows him to just flow right into the end zone. This whole Henry Ford team, we've run out of words to use to describe this Henry Ford team, to be honest with you, because they've worked so well as a unit today, defensively, offensively, special teams. Quarterback's been playing great. You got guys like Londell Bright. You got the quarterback Jemison. You got Lional Merritt, and a host of other players whose names we really don't call that much. And normally when you don't call an offensive player's name that much, that's a good thing, because that means there's not a lot of penalties going on. And
to join Charles Turner and me here on Black Passport, a weekly travel magazine show with interesting personalities, informative travel tips, and plenty of fun as we travel to such exotic places as Ocho Rios, Jamaica, Cozumel, and Grand Cayman. And we'll also make stops closer to home, right here on Black Passport.
because that means there's not a lot of penalties going on. And the whole team deserves credit, just as the coaching staff. This has been a fantastic game today for this Henry Ford team.
48-22 is your score. Under a minute here left in the final quarter. And Detroit Henry Ford clearly in command. A short kick, looks like it'll go out of bounds. No. And there's a flag on the play. Number 42 is Damone Dawson, as frustration settles in on Detroit Cooley as he took a blow at one of the Henry Ford players.
Well, this is what you like to see after this play is over with, though. What happens is that down on the ball, he's hit by one of the Henry Ford players. He takes it personally. He takes a swing at him, and automatically, as far as I'm concerned, he should be kicked out the game for that. There's no place in this game for that. I don't care what the situation, what the score is, he should be gone.
And that's what the officials are probably discussing right now. We know it was an unsportsmanlike conduct call against Detroit Cooley, but it might have been just a little enticement on Detroit Henry Ford, because when the player's down, you can't make contact on the ground, but just the energy level of the game and the excitement of the players sometimes cause that. So they're going to walk this off against Detroit Cooley, and most likely number 42, who is Ramon Dawson, probably will be ejected from the game.
But I have no problems with that. First of all, that's why the refs and umpires are out there. If they feel something is wrong, a flag is going to be thrown. You'll be penalized for that with yardage. When you decide to take things into your own hands and dispense justice the way you feel it should be done, that's not what's happening out here. This is a football game, not a boxing match. Sportsmanship has a lot to do with what these kids are going to have to learn for the rest of their lives, working with other people, whether they like them or not, dealing with different situations on their jobs, as well as hopefully if they get to go to college and play, and possibly that next level, which is the professional ranks. So that's why I think it was very important that he got tossed. And any time that a hand is swung at another arm or hand or whatever is swung at another player, they should be thrown, ejected from the game.
Well put, Mr. King. And that's going to do it. The horn sounds as Detroit Henry Ford spoils the homecoming celebrations of Detroit Cooley. There's your final score. Henry Ford 48, Detroit Cooley 22, and Henry Ford is on top of things.
Really? What did it say? Jill, are you still there? Jill? What happened to the TV?
Hey, what happened to the lights? Somebody blow a fuse? Hey, be up here for a while, so let's chat. Sure. I was NBA Rookie of the Year, and I went to the Olympics twice. But I also played the piano, sax, and even got my college degree in mathematics. And I'm not bragging, just making a point. I couldn't have done all this on drugs. And I couldn't wear this. See, I'm also Navy Lieutenant Robinson. How's that for hang time?
All wound up after a busy day, all you really want to do is just get home, check the paper, toss your coat, get to the game, flip on the TV, sit in your favorite chair, take your shoes off, loosen your tie, grab the remote control, kick back, and unwind. What? You don't have remote control? Uh-oh. It's kind of hard to unwind when you have to keep getting up and sitting down to change the channels. In fact, it's exhausting, not to mention missing a lot of what your cable system has to offer. So call your local cable company today. Take control, get the remote, and unwind. Brought to you by the Weather Channel and your local cable operator.
Playboy Pay-Per-View, lo que ustedes en entretenimiento nocturno, serie original, provocativa y producida exclusivamente para Playboy, cinema erótico de 4 estrellas, películas que les encenderán la noche, solo para parejas, perfectas noches de pasión para disfrutar juntos, eventos especiales con las Playmates, las preciosas chicas de Playboy, el fin de semana con lo mejor y más ardiente de Playboy. Recuerden, entretenimiento de noche sinónimo con Playboy Pay-Per-View.
This summer, HBO makes a great catch. It's getting pretty exciting. See Madonna swing. Gina Davis score.
You see me slip in the back seat and make a man out of me.
And Tom Hanks strike out.
There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
It's better than box seats.
I love these girls.
Catch a league of their own.
Play ball.
Welcome back to Detroit Cooley High School, where Detroit Henry Ford has just spoiled the homecoming of the Detroit Cooley Cardinals. Your final score, Detroit Henry Ford 48, Detroit Cooley 22, and a spoiling of the homecoming as Detroit Henry Ford are the kings of the West Side, and they win the West Side and go on to compete in the Detroit Public School League playoffs.
Kings of the gridiron. Absolutely fantastic game today. There's not one single person that you can single out from this Henry Ford team. They were all clicking on all cylinders, and all cylinders they were clicking on, and they played great as a team. Whoever they run into next week, if they're playing the same way, it's going to be a nightmare.
You're absolutely right about that. And Coach Marshall just trotted over here and just said, how did you like our munchkins? Those munchkins are Marcus Floyd, Kiana Sayers, David Reed, Rondell March, Robert Gatewood. The front line, offense and defensive line of Detroit Henry Ford done a yeoman job this afternoon and defeating the big giants. It's like David and Goliath. And the little man won today.
Yes.
Tremendous game, and they estimated 7,500 people. You know, yet Henry Ford has had a tremendous season too, beating Denby and Londell Bright that we're seeing here going like crazy. That's going to be a great game. And then the winner will probably play Troy if Troy beats Fulton, and Troy is #1 seed in that region. That's a tremendous region.
All right, Class AA, Region 4, Pershing.
Good time. It's a hard time. Don't drink and drive. A public service announcement from the Michigan State Police Troopers.
There are some gifts that improve with age, like U.S. savings bonds. Just go to your bank, ask for a gift certificate to give now. The bond will arrive later.
Cool.
Get U.S. savings bonds because some things improve with age, fortunately.
U.S. savings bonds.
you play. Be your best every day. Have fun, just do it your way. Turn on the breakfast. Now don't you know you're the one that's gonna make it. Look at you move, look at you go. Turn it on.
You register me in 50 states. I don't want to tell you what I really think. I'd support my daughter. I know this voice. Who is this?
Here. Hello, Larry. Mike Wallace.
Do you ever not know where you are? When was the last time you drove? Oh, boy. Time out. I'm having fun now. Oh, my God.
Totally spontaneous.
Well, looks like Larry King won this round.
Totally King. Larry King Live. Weeknights on CNN.
If you're the kind of person who'd rather tune an engine than eat, who reads a tachometer like a love story, for whom the roar of fully blown horsepower is a lullaby, have we got a machine for you. And in the hands of the right mechanic, it'll blow the doors off anything. Aim high, Air Force.
Your entertainment connection is Barden Cablevision TV6 Detroit.